ඔෆිස් එකේදී විතරක් නෙවෙයි මම දැන් ගෙදරදීත් IDD කෝල්ස් ගන්න SLT ෆෝන් එකේ.
ඔබේ නිවසේ SLT දුරකථනය දැන් IDD පහසුකම සහිතයි.
Making headlines on First at 9, the day of remembrance. The President stresses the integrity of Sri Lankan security forces at the National War Hero commemoration. It's a relief. Secretary of the Ministry of Petroleum Resources Development on the recent fuel price hike.
We have got some kind of relief. This increase is not sufficient to run the CPC at profit.
Take guard. The government warns of an influenza outbreak in the south.
It has been established that this is influenza. Karapitiya Teaching Hospital and Mathura General Hospital do have specific medicines.
Royal nuptials. Prince Harry, the sixth in line to the British throne, and actress of mixed race Meghan Markle tie the knot.
Bride looking radiant.
In the plus, President of Sri Lanka Cricket lauds the institute's financial discipline.
We curtail some unnecessary expenditure, we brought some good financial controls.
A very good evening to you and welcome to First at 9. I'm Katharina Chang. Now on to your top story tonight. President Maithripala Sirisena says that Sri Lankan security forces have not committed war crimes. He said this addressing National War Hero commemoration held at the War Heroes Memorial in Parliamentary grounds today. The National War Heroes commemoration was held at War Heroes Memorial at the Parliamentary grounds in Sri Jawadanapura Kote today. It was organised by the Ranaviru Services Authority of the Ministry of Defence.
ශ්‍රී ලංකා ප්‍රජාතාන්ත්‍රික සමාජවාදී ජනරජයේ අධිකරු ජනාධිපති සහ සේනාධිනායක මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන මැතිතුමන්ගේ සම්ප්‍රාප්තිය අභිමානයේ සුරක්ෂිත කළ රණවිරුවන් ආධික රණවිරු සැමරුම
Some people today give wrong interpretations on the terrorist group LTTE and how the war unfolded. It was not only Sinhala, Tamil or Muslim people whose lives were claimed during the war. I should specifically mention the opposition and Tamil leader Amirthalingam, academic politician Thiruchelvam and the bright academic and foreign minister Lakshman Kadragamar who fell victim to terrorism. I'm saddened that some are unable to differentiate between war hero and terrorist. Some in the government are guilty of it, and so are some members of the opposition as well as members of NGOs which are established with money in mind. In May of 2009, the then government was able to militarily defeat terrorism, but members of terrorist organizations who are abroad continue to voice battle slogans to separate this motherland from us. We will not let the dreams of these terrorists be realized by any means. We should be dedicated to defeat the ideology of the LTTE. The war heroes shouldn't be a tool for politicians. I say with regret that even state media have failed to appreciate war heroes. I'm also sorrowful of the fact that private media failing to highlight what this government did for war heroes. I clearly state that war crimes allegations are not levelled against our war heroes in the resolution of the UN Human Rights Commissioner. Some say there are war crimes, but there are no such things.
The President, other invitees, members of the tri-forces and the relatives of the fallen war heroes placed floral tributes at the War Memorial.
இருந்த பாரிய கால பகுதியில் அவர்கள் ஒருபோதும் நாம் வீரோதாறு ரணபிருவன் விண்வின் ஒரு விடயமாக அமைகிறது. இந்த நாட்டில் ஏற்பட்ட நாம் அனைவரும் ஒற்றுமையாக
In the meantime, 50 officers of the tri-forces were felicitated at the Presidential Secretariat this morning. Accordingly, Army Commander Lieutenant General Mahesh Senanayake, Commander of the Navy Vice Admiral Sirimevan Ranasinghe and Air Force Commander Air Marshal Kapila Jampati were felicitated by the President. State Minister of Defence Ruwan Wijewardena and Chief of Defence Staff Admiral Ravindra Vijay Gunaratne attended the event. In the meantime, President Maithripala Sirisena attended a religious event organised in remembrance of fallen war heroes. The Department of Meteorology says that as the southwest monsoon conditions are gradually developing in the vicinity of Sri Lanka and heavy rains are expected to continue today and tomorrow. Heavy rainfalls of over 100 millimetres is forecast for central Sabaragamuwa, Uva and western provinces as well as Galle and Matra districts. Meanwhile, inclement weather conditions are continued to hamper day-to-day activities in several areas across the island over the past 24 hours.
A mound of earth fell atop a house in the area of Kaluthara owing to heavy rains. Although no one was injured, steps were taken by the Disaster Management Centre to evacuate 9 families living in the area. Meanwhile, several areas located in the Central Hills were left inundated due to incessant rains. According to our correspondent, water levels of Castlereagh, Mausa Calais and Upper Kotmale reservoirs were seen gradually rising. Another landslide occurred in Baddegama, Galle. As a result, a temple and a school in the area were deemed unsafe. A road in Patabandimulla, located along the Galle-Colombo main road in Ambalangoda, was impassable due to heavy rains. Meanwhile, a mound of earth fell atop a house in Diyasenpura, Batapola. Heavy rains also forced 2 spill gates of the Kalavawa tank to be opened, with water levels continuing to rise. Meanwhile, due to heavy rains, all 6 spill gates of Daduru Oya was opened last evening.
The Secretary of the Ministry of Petroleum Resources Development, Upali Marasinghe, impressed today that the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation enjoyed some manner of relief following the fuel price hike. Speaking to media following a function, he said that the price increase still isn't enough to bring the CPC to profit.
Really, before we increased the prices of the fuels, really we all the fuels to market at a loss. So that's why we needed some kind of amendment. Especially last few months we depreciated and world market price of the fuel went up. So in order to compensate some kind of manner, we were asked to make some adjustment. This increase is not sufficient to run the CPC at profit, but the government role is not to run this organization at profit. The other responsibility is to give fuel to the people at a reasonable, affordable rate. So then we have got some kind of relief rather than the past few months.
In the meantime, the fishing community requests that they be granted the kerosene subsidy by Tuesday, as they will withdraw from venturing to sea.
We have
trust in the Minister of Fisheries that this will be given at least by Tuesday. If the subsidy won't be given by Tuesday, people won't leave us be. We have got to grips with the situation of the people. If we don't get this by Tuesday, there will be a huge tragedy. We urge the government to provide kerosene at 44 rupees.
The Secretary of the Ministry of Petroleum Resources Development, Upali Marasinghe, however, said that the Cabinet has decided to continue the kerosene subsidy granted to the fishing community.
We gave the fuel subsidy to fishermen from the beginning. The Cabinet has decided to provide it continuously. There won't be any change to it.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa today released a communique in view of the Day of Remembrance. He says that the country should rally against those who attempt to hunt down and take revenge on war heroes who fought for the freedom of the country. The former president added people of the north and east are able to live in peace solely owing to the sacrifices made by war heroes.
Issuing a communique to commemorate the Day of Remembrance today, Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa said that it has been 9 years since Sri Lanka was able to gain freedom from the clutches of the world's most brutal terrorist organization, adding that it is rare for a country to achieve such a victory. The former president added that it is therefore important to remember those from the tri-forces, the police and the civil defence force, who sacrificed their lives for the country. The communique went on to say that the North and East was able to achieve democracy with the defeat of terrorism. He added that LTTE sympathizers portray war heroes who only rendered a humanitarian service for the nation as individuals who were part of a massacre. The communique further adds that the biggest betrayal of this era is by the government, which was elected by the people, conceding it as a massacre. The former president went on to note that those who betray war heroes should understand that Tamil citizens and youth of the North are able to live without fear and not in a time of conflict due to war heroes. Therefore, the former president stressed on the need to be prepared to defeat those who are attempting to hunt down and take revenge on war heroes who fought for the freedom of the country. Meanwhile, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa attended an almsgiving organised by Vidyalankara Piriven in Paliyagoda today in memory of war heroes who were killed in battle.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa was able to finish a 30-year war in 3 years. He united our country, bringing back peace and unity. Some people's feelings get hurt when we say this.
Following the ceremony, the former president had this to say to media.
We are against the statement made by him. You should not ask this question from us, but rather from the President and the Prime Minister.
Several protests were held today against the recent statement made by Cabinet Corps spokesperson Dr. Rajitha Senaratne and celebrations held in Velamulli Vaikal. The two matters drew various comments, with politicians in particular being vociferous.
A group including members of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna of the Kegol Provincial Council engaged in a protest at the public market in Kegol against the recent statement made by Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne. In the meantime, locals engaged in a protest last evening, setting fire to an image of the late leader of the LTTE, Velupillai Prabhakaran, in the city of Suriyavavu. Following a floral tribute to a memorial of war heroes in Galle, family members of war heroes blocked the Mathura Colombo main road in protest of the celebration held at Velamulli Vaikal and charged that war heroes are ignored. Meanwhile, various views were expressed over the recent statement made by Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne at the Cabinet media briefing held recently.
I can't say that I agree with the statement made by Minister Rajitha. The main ceremony that was to be held at huge expense was halted. That money is given to the welfare of war heroes. It is a so-called child by Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne that committed the Bhikkhu assassinations in Arantalava, set bombs off at Sri Mahabodhi and set off a bomb in Dehiwala. This is the latest situation of the reconciliation. Yesterday, Vigneshwaran said that this will be commemorated as a day of Tamil genocide. Sivajalingam said that if the government don't listen to what they say, North and South will be made separate states. Such cowardly and ungrateful government has never been before and will never be. We don't accept that. Commemorating someone who died and commemorating a terrorist are two different things. There is no need to continue talking about this matter.
The attention of the Ministry of Health has been drawn to the increased number of patients with respiratory tract infections at the Karapitiya and General Hospital in Mathura during the last few weeks. The Director General of Health Services, Dr. Anilja Singha, speaking to First at 9 today, said it has been identified as a spread of influenza and several measures are already taken to mitigate the spread of the virus.
Several deaths of children were reported over the last few months over infections relating to the respiratory tract in the southern province. It is now revealed that the cause is identified as a possible outbreak of the influenza virus.
It has been established that this is influenza. During last few years, the influenza illness has been on increase during this time of the year. This illness is mainly associated with respiratory symptoms, fever, cough and cold. There are vulnerable groups that are to be taken care of. Karapitiya Teaching Hospital and Mathura General Hospital do have specific medicines that are required for treatment of this illness.
In the meantime, the Ministry of Health says that children less than 2 years of age, pregnant or lactating mothers, anyone with chronic lung, heart or renal and other morbidities and elderly people are considered as high-risk categories. Dr. Anil Jasingh has said that preventive measures are already taken to mitigate the situation.
If you have a child who has got fever, you shouldn't send this child to daycare center, school or tuition. You have to take medical care. The spread of disease can only be curbed where, as far as possible, for you to not to get into places where the mass gatherings are there. You may use masks if you have, and for the staff of hospitals, there certain protective equipment have been dispersed.
A parent of a deceased child, however, had this to say.
අපිට දරුවා ඇඩ්මිට් කරනකොට තියෙන කැස්සයි උණයි විතරයි. මේ අසන රෝග තත්ත්වය තිබුණේම නැහැ. අපේ දරුවා ඇඩ්මිට් කරපු වාට්ටුවේ ඒ රෝග තත්ත්වය තීච්ච දරුවෙක් නැති වුණා අපේ දරුවට දවස් දෙකකට ඉස්සෙල්ලා. ඊට පස්සේ තමයි මම හිතන්නේ අපේ දරුවටත් වැළඳෙන්නේ නැති මේ රෝග ලක්ෂණේ. දරුවා සමහරලාට බේර ගැනීමේ තව අවස්ථාවක් තිබුණා. වෛද්‍යවරු සැලකිලිමත් වුණේ නැහැ. මොකද මගේ දරුවා 18 වෙනියට නැති වෙලයි කියලා තමයි වාට්ටුව බාර මැඩම් කිව්වේ.
In the meantime, the Chief Minister of Southern Province said that necessary measures on over the incident have been discussed with the Ministry of Health.
The 32nd Derana medical camp got underway in the Galin-Bidunuwava Divisional Secretariat in Anuradhapura today. The humanitarian initiative aims to raise awareness on kidney disease among the public.
Derana සියල්ලට ප්‍රථම මිනිස්කම.
The 32nd Derana medical camp was held at Galapitivala Sri Nagaviharaya in Anuradhapura today. The health camp organised by Derana Media Network aims to raise awareness on kidney disease. Office of the Director of Health for the North Central Province, Office of the Galin-Bidunuwava Medical Officers and Ragam Alliance Hospital and Colombo Sedum Medical Laboratory were among those who assisted in driving this initiative. Patients were given free medical laboratory tests at the camp. Meanwhile, the public were also given free eye consultation by the Sri Lanka Eye Donation Society.
We intend to fix a water purifier in this area and we thank PureTech for helping us in this regard.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
Minister of Housing and Construction Sajid Premadasa heralds that the Ministry of Finance has commenced drafting a legislation to hasten payments of contracts. He says this is being carried out in order to address issues faced by contractors pertaining to delayed payments, particularly by state sector clients. The minister was addressing the Build Sri Lanka 2018 exhibition held yesterday under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe.
The 14th annual Build Sri Lanka 2018 Housing and Construction Exhibition was held under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe yesterday. The event, which is organised by the Chamber of Construction Industries, saw the participation of over 300 exhibitors in the construction sector.
On a proposal made by myself to the government for the introduction of an employee payment guarantee for construction contracts, I'm happy to convey to you that the Ministry of Finance has already undertaken the preparation of draft legislation. I have now obtained the approval of the Cabinet of Ministers to release the retention money by substituting it with a bank guarantee when the maximum retention is reached, facilitating the cash flow of the contractors and ensuring the successful completion of construction projects. maintaining their cost and time targets. Ad hoc solutions like importing skilled labor have been advocated, but they cannot be sustainable solutions. This is why I am convinced that the establishment and the operation of an insurance and pension scheme for construction workers needs to be the next urgent step. This may become a reality soon.
The Chamber of Construction Industry is a whole range of activity that Mr. Premadas's ministry has now identified and is in the process of implementation. As we go ahead, we need the modern industry which will be internationally competitive, not only in Sri Lanka but outside, and has told us some of the problems that you face in getting visas, and let's see how we can resolve it. The other issue, as you all and the government are tackling, and the minister says, is the question of manpower. That is going to be one of the biggest shortages that we have.
Meanwhile, a 2.2 billion rupee market-oriented dairy project was launched under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and US Ambassador to Sri Lanka Atul Keshap recently. The project is the largest dairy project funded in Sri Lanka by the US Department of Agriculture. More than 15,000 farmers from across the island stand to benefit from it.
The market-oriented dairy project will focus on commercial sustainability of the dairy sector, addressing access to and availability of and quality of and safety of dairy products. This project is a sign of the strong bilateral partnership and deepening American engagement in Sri Lanka. Illustrating this approach, this project's design offers a wide range of interventions targeting all actors in the dairy sector, but maintains an especially strong emphasis on market-oriented dairy farmers.
The Asian Development Bank is giving Sri Lanka a loan of $453 million to fund the second phase of a project providing irrigation and drinking water for Mahavali River. The External Resources Department of the Ministry of Finance said in a statement that the funds will be used to build storage reservoirs, canals and tunnels to divert river water for thousands of farming families and provide safe drinking water for people living in areas affected by chronic kidney disease. The Mahavali Water Security Investment Program is one of the major ongoing investment programs currently being implemented under the loan assistance of the Asian Development Bank. The total investment of this program is $675 million, of which $453 million will be provided by the ADB under multi-tranche financing facility. Let's now cross over to a short commercial break.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.
Welcome back to the news. More than 100 people have died after Boeing 737 airliner crash near Cuba's main airport in Havana. The plane involved in the disaster, considered to the country's worst air disaster in decades, was nearly 40 years old and was carrying 105 passengers and 9 crew members. 3 women were pulled alive from the wreckage but are said to be in a critical condition.
A Boeing 737 plane crashed yesterday shortly after taking off from Havana's main airport, carrying 114 passengers and crew on a domestic flight. Only 3 women escaped with their lives from the crash and are receiving treatment in hospital. But it is reported that all 3 survivors are in critical condition. A relative of one of the women said she is alive but very burnt. The aircraft was on a domestic flight to Holguin in eastern Cuba with 105 passengers, including 5 children and 9 crew members. Holguin has some of the island's most pristine beaches and attracts tourists. Cuban state media said the flight was 40 years old and leased by airline Cubana from a small Mexican airline called Damo or Global. The Mexican authorities said the plane was built in 1979 and had been successfully inspected last November. Mexico has said it was sending 2 civil aviation specialists to join the investigation. The country's president, Miguel Diaz-Canel, said the fire from the crash had been put out and authorities were identifying bodies, adding that authorities were investigating the cause of the crash. It is believed that all crew members were Mexican, while majority of passengers being Cuban. Mexico's Transport Department said on its website that during takeoff, the plane apparently suffered a problem and dived to the ground.
The attacker in the fatal shooting of 10 people at the Santa Fe High School in Texas yesterday is identified as 17-year-old Dimitrios Pagroutsis, a student of the school. He allegedly used a shotgun and a revolver taken from his father, who legally owned the weapons. Police said that most of the dead are students. Texas Governor Greg Abbott said various kinds of explosive devices had been found at the school, 65 kilometers south of Houston and off campus. He said they included a CO2 device and a Molotov cocktail. Abbott said police found information on the suspect's diary, computer and mobile phone suggesting that he planned the attack and intended to kill himself afterwards. The governor said the teenager gave himself up because he didn't have the courage to commit suicide. In your headline-making news now, millions around the world tuned in to the royal nuptials today, one of the most anticipated events of the year, as Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex and the sixth in line to the British throne, married American actress Meghan Markle at a ceremony at St George's Chapel at Windsor Castle in the west of London. Thus, they were proclaimed husband and wife by the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby. In a span of an hour, Meghan Markle was transformed from Miss to a Duchess and joined history as the second American to join the royal family. Accordingly, Meghan Markle becomes the first ever mixed-race woman to marry into the royal family. This is widely seen as a step by the royal family to veer from traditionalism and to embrace modern, with some saying the royal family has long represented a certain type of Britishness that left little room for diversity.
A host of celebrities including Oprah Winfrey, George Clooney, Serena Williams, the Beckhams and a close friend of Meghan Markle, Indian actress Priyanka Chopra, were among the 600 invited guests alongside senior members of the royal family. No leaders of countries were invited for the royal wedding. Another 2,640 members of the public were chosen to watch the ceremony from the grounds of Windsor Castle. Prince Harry arrived with Prince William, Duke of Cambridge, at St George's Chapel. Both were seen wearing the frock coat uniform of the Blues and Royals. Meghan Markle arrived with her mother Doria Ragland at St George's Chapel, and she was followed by her 6 bridesmaids, including Prince George and Princess Charlotte. Meghan's white wedding dress with a white veil and boat neck was created by British designer Claire Waite-Keller, the first female artistic director at French fashion house Givenchy. Foreign media reports that it's no ordinary veil, and the Duchess wanted all 53 countries of the Commonwealth with her on her journey through the ceremony, and so Waite-Keller created a veil embroidered with the flora of each one. Each 3-dimensional flower is unique and was embroidered onto the 5-meter train by hand. The Prince of Wales stepped in for the father of the bride as he walked Meghan down the aisle for the wedding ceremony. Meghan's father, Thomas Markle, was forced to pull out from the royal wedding due to health problems. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle exchanged vows and thus was proclaimed husband and wife by the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby. As expected, Meghan Markle in her vow did not pledge to obey her husband.
Meghan, I give you this ring.
Meghan, I give you this ring. All that I am, I give to you.
Within the love of God.
Within the love of God.
As a sign of our marriage, all that I am, I give to you. Within the love of God.
Princess Diana became the first royal bride not to vow to obey her husband when she married Prince Charles in 1981. Kate Middleton, the Duchess of Cambridge, too didn't vow to obey Prince William when they married in 2011. After the couple, the new Duke and Duchess of Sussex tied the knot. They delighted tens of thousands of well-wishers as they travelled through Windsor in an open-topped carriage. Markle's background has also raised some uncomfortable questions about race. In a recent interview, British sociology professor Kehinde Andrews compared Markle to a splash of coffee in the monarchy. The chances of a biracial divorced American citizen marrying into the British royal family previously hovered at approximately zero. The mixed-race American actress became the Duchess of Sussex through a marriage described as groundbreaking and dubbed a cultural revolution. The royal wedding comes as a move of progress within the royal family, supporting diversity and moving away from rigid traditionalism.
Sri Lanka's cricket's president Tilanga Sumitipala highlights that SLC brought into some good financial controls, curtailing unnecessary expenditure. He was speaking on the institute's recently released financial figures, which revealed that SLC has posted profits of over 2 billion rupees at a media briefing held in Colombo today.
We have adopted due changes to our constitution. Now Sri Lanka Cricket Constitution provides an election committee. Second resolution was to appoint the committee of 5 members to serve as our election committee. Mr. Rasika Veeratunga, Mr. Sanat Utpola, Mr. Buddhika Ilanga Tilaka, Mr. H.T. Jude Perra and Mr. Devagiri Bandar. Appointment of the election committee was unanimously approved and also postponed the election to 31st May as per the directive of the minister is approved by the general body to be held on the 31st May. The sports law gives them power to decide on the procedure, accepting of nomination, whether they are eligible to contest or whether there are any complaints or any inquiries, all that is they have to stipulate the plan.
The president of Sri Lankan cricket also expressed his delight over the financial status of SLC.
We are quite happy to say we have more than 2 billion rupees in our reserve by 31st December. And our turnover was over 6 billion rupees. We curtailed some unnecessary expenditure. We brought some good financial controls. We have set up a finance advisory committee and we've been guided by the financial advisory committee right throughout.
In the meantime, journalists questioned whether the financial crisis faced by the West Indies would hamper Sri Lanka's tour of the Caribbean.
I think they are going through a bit of a crisis. They have been talking to us, but they haven't given us any indication that the tour will get postponed. Most probably we might reduce the number of test matches to 2 and play a couple of one-days, but nothing has been finalized so far.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Derana 24/7.
Sheila Fernando is at the Derana Weather Centre with your forecast first evening edition.
A very good evening and welcome to Forecast First. Your temperatures for tomorrow are to vary between 21 and 31 degrees Celsius, with the highest temperatures recorded in Jaffna and Mullaitivu. Well, when looking at the map, a low pressure zone is set to develop along the coastal belt from Mannar to Galle over the next 24 hours. Rainy weather is forecast in most parts of the island, including Jaffna, Mannar, Vaunia, Anuradhapura, Kandy, Colombo, Galle and Mathura, as well as Hambantota. That's all we have from the Weather Centre tonight. Up next is your city by city forecast.
And with that, we conclude today's edition of First at 9. But before we go, we'd like to take you to Vietnam, where you encounter the largest cave in the world. The Hang Son Dong Cave is more than 200 meters high, 150 meters wide and 5 kilometers long, with its own river, jungle and climate. Hope you enjoy these visuals. Good night.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.